Let's do it!
Hello, fellow artists. Today I'm going to share how I painted this cute little landscape, creating water using dry brushing, happy flowers, reflections in water, and much more. So let's do it. First, I did a little sketch of just where the river's going to be. Then I got the paper super wet. I used a hockey brush that holds a ton of water. Now what I'm doing is using cerulean blue with a little bit of Payne's gray and creating a little cloudy sky. So before it dries, while it's still wet, I get some green in there, and yellow and burnt sienna are the little spots that you see for flowers. That's a little burnt sienna right there. Love the wet on wet technique. You can get so much coverage done as far as your base layers and for your background. Now you'll notice I changed the brush. This one has more of a pointy tip. Then I got out my sea sponge, dipped it in some of my paint that is a milky consistency, and just pressed lightly to create some shrubs. And I did a suggestion of a little house there on the river. Now the fun part, this is dry brushing where the paper is dry. My brush does not have a lot of paint on it and my brush isn't very wet. Now I go a little darker because I want to get the reflection of the shrubs and the trees that are across the river. So I go a little darker with my paint and I let it sit there for a minute while I go to the shrubs here in the foreground. I did a fun little splashing with some greens. Now that my base layers are dry, I'm adding some more burnt sienna and yellows. All right, experimenting with a inexpensive fan brush. I'm cutting out pieces so it becomes a jagged brush, which is great for texture. Grasses, trees, shrubs. I would definitely experiment with this fun technique. Nothing in nature is perfect or has straight lines, so it's great to use something that is imperfect. So I'm going to let this shrub on the right here dry while I go back and do the flowers on the shrubs to the left. This is a very fun part. The best tip I can give you, I think, in watercolor painting is not to mix your colors in your palette. Mix them on your brush. So I have a yellow and a burnt sienna color on my brush separately. If you're enjoying this video, please hit that like and subscribe button. It really helps me make more videos for you. Thank you. Okay, and what I always say in almost every video, have a scratch piece of paper, the same type of paper that you're using to paint on for a scratch piece of paper, because it really makes a difference, even if it's a real small one like you saw. Now I am creating some grass, some river grass here, which is usually long and spindly. And then they usually have like a little, the white little cotton poofs on the top, which are really fun, which I will put those on with some white gouache here in a little bit. But right now I'm just trying to get some wild grass-like effect. Now I have gouache, white gouache, which is an opaque watercolor for the little tips of flowers, and I wanted a little blue hue to it, so I dab just a little bit of blue right over the white, and it gives it a little contrast. Now I move over to my wildflowers on the right. I love the violet and the white together, so this is a white gouache with violet on my brush. Now you can see I didn't mix them in the palette. I just put them separately on my brush. All right, here we go with the cute little ducks. I did a light sketch. They're really shapes. Everything is a shape. I'm not worried about detail. It's more about the colors, the browns for the outline, and then I'm saving some areas for a blue, just a splotch of blue for his feathers, the yellow beak, and then just a touch, a line for his eye. Same thing for the other mama bear duck. For the reflection, I used the same brown color that I did for the duck, just a hair darker. This is also a dry brushing technique. The paper is dry, my brush is hardly wet at all. And while the duck is drying, I decided I need a tree. Up there in the upper left, it was looking pretty bare. So I used my fun, scraggly brush, created a tree, a couple more shrubs, and of course, some accents, some beautiful birds in the sky. And here we have it, a fun beginner's landscape that you can do. And if you make a mistake, no one's going to know because it's nature. If you would like to see this video in real time, join me over on Patreon. I've got more landscape tutorials, a beginner's watercolor tutorial, colored pencils, and lots more. Hope to see you there. Thanks for watching, fellow artists.